The V4 Pro Pack. Every year, there's a plane that does something we weren't expecting. And this year, it was the Su-34 V4 Super Trainer. Now, we designed it to replace the F-35 V3 as the role of our best trainer, and did it really well. But it didn't stop there. It was more stable than we were expecting. It was able to fly off of a lot less than we were expecting, and it was a lot faster than we were expecting. It's like you're standing there watching the plane fly and you have the controller in your hand. You're not flying it, you're just watching it. It's ridiculously fun to fly because it's just flying itself. So in this video, I want to do a little introduction to this plane and talk about the 3 things that we really had to overcome in getting this plane to be so freaking magical. Number 1, we wanted to address the gotcha builds. You know what I'm talking about? You're building your plane and the part doesn't quite fit right, or this is really challenging, or how does that go, or this is too complicated. You end up losing half of your frustration factors on just trying to get the plane put together before you even get to the field. We wanted to get rid of that. The point is, we wanted people to be fresh and energetic and happy by the time they get to the field and not get tripped up on some little ridiculous thing along the way. So the plane has been put together and taken apart and put together and taken apart with the idea in mind of how is this easier for everybody? When you glue this part onto here, does that notch in nice? Does that get glue on your sleeve? So that's the first thing. We really wanted to focus on making a ridiculously simple build. The second thing is we wanted to get rid of this trim game. You know what I'm talking about? You take a plane out and it's all out of control. And which axis do you trim first? Pitch, roll, yaw? It's going to the left. Is that rolling to the left or yawing to the left or a little bit of both? Do I need to move my battery? This is extremely hard and frustrating for beginners because the beginner may have the flight skills, but the plane is so out of trim, they're battling this thing and the plane goes down. We wanted to see what could we do to get this plane to track straight and true with little to no trim so the beginner can just focus on flying the thing. So as we were designing this, we kept playing around with the length, nose to tail, the wingspan, the roll, and especially the yaw. We found that the yaw is kind of the wild card factor in the axes. You got pitch and roll, and then yaw. If the plane is sliding around on the yaw axis, that then leads to instability in the other axes. So think about it, when you're going into a turn, if your tail starts to yaw out to the side, its tail is yawing out to the right, your right wingtip is now getting more air and more lift than the left, which now pulls that wing up. Now it's compromised the roll axis. Now you're rolling over. Now the whole bottom of the plane is getting more lift, and then boom, it throws the nose up in the air. So having a little instability in the yaw is a domino effect of problems. So what we did is we angled out the vertical stabilizer. So picture you're standing straight, looking down at your toes, and kind of go a little bit pigeon-toed. That's what we did with the vertical stabilizers. They're angled out, they're wedged out just a little bit. This creates a dihedral-like effect on the yaw axis. So if you yaw out to one side a little bit, the air feels the wedge on those verticals and brings it right back to center. What this means is you can fly and have the yaw axis stabilizing itself all on its own. That's exactly what it does. And the wing design and the canards in the front give it a very stable roll and pitch axis. And with the yaw stabilizing itself, it keeps the whole plane under control. So that was the second thing. We really spent a lot of time conquering the trim game. And the third thing we wanted to deal with was the control setups. We see on the forum guys going, what do I set up? Is it elevons only, ailerons, spoilerons, 4x4, rudders? For beginners, you want to fly with the simplest stuff possible. Less to manage. The problem with that is if you go too simple, your plane doesn't have enough control in the air and you crash. If your plane needs ailerons and you don't have ailerons and you get into turn or you get upside down, you don't have enough leverage on the roll to bring yourself right side up. So there's always been this conundrum where you tell beginners to fly with as little control surface as possible to keep it simple, but now their plane isn't prepared to deal with the real world out there, and now they got another problem. So we designed this plane to be at its best with elevons only. And this is the first time I've ever flown and loved a plane with elevons only. I've always hated elevons only because you don't have the ailerons, you don't have the rudders, you're always going to get caught somewhere and the plane's going to go down because you don't have the controls to pull out of it. This plane flies so crazy stable with elevons only. If you look on the video and some of the pictures, I had ailerons and rudders on them. I took the servos back off, filled the holes in with foam, and glued the control surfaces back on. I liked it so much better with elevons only. So what this means for the beginner is they can take the plane out in confidence with elevons only. It's not one of these deals where the expert guys are telling the beginners fly with elevons only, but we're all secretly flying with other stuff on our plane, right? No, I'm flying this plane with elevons only and laughing because it flies so good. So those are the three big breakthroughs. It's got a super simple build, self-stabilizing yaw, and it flies its best with elevons only. And the last thing that I really like about it is that look at it. Look at that big, huge, capable platform. You could load that thing with servos, you can activate the canards, you can put a powerful motor in it, you can put KF4s on it. So it's a big, bad, mean-looking trainer that is just begging for you to grow into it and add more and more stuff in it. The instructions come with a simple setup, elevons only, as well as an advanced setup. It comes in the V4 Pro Pack. I'll put a link down below so you can see the forum and the homepage. It's at rcpowers.com.